Hey everyone, I wanted to go over the new and exciting news that we got for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak that's set to release on both the Nintendo Switch and on PC on June 30th. And today we're going to be going over something really interesting, and that's the fact that thanks to director Suzuki, the director for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, he went ahead and took to Twitter to provide us with brand new information regarding a brand new feature being added into the game that's really going to change the way people pretty much prepare heading into a hunt. Now, to be fair, director Suzuki has been taking to Twitter almost on a weekly basis to give us little bits of information and updates regarding the game. Within the past few weeks, I've decided not to cover the stuff that they're posting, basically because it's kind of been not really all that important or relevant. They've been posting a lot of stuff when it comes to the lore and things that we've kind of already covered based off of like the trailers and the other information that they provided us with, so it really hasn't been all that impactful. But this week is actually a really interesting one. And when you take a look at the Japanese post that they posted on Twitter, which I'm going to translate, and it basically reads, "I'm Director Suzuki, the director for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. Although it is a fine adjustment, and I think this is a translation situation, I am also working on linking the item set option and the custom shortcut palette set." So again, a little bit of a weird wording, but what it basically says here is that they're linking the item set option and the custom shortcuts. And we're going to go through that in a little bit. You should be able to see the Japanese version of that screenshot. But thankfully, the English North American Twitter account went ahead and posted a follow-up subsequent tweet as well. And it says, "In addition to the larger updates, we're tweaking some details in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, such as the loadout and shortcut settings." But again, as you might have noticed, they're not really saying they're linking them together. It just kind of says they're working on it, tweaking things. And this time we actually get a closer look at the same image, but now of course it's in full English. Now on the upper left side, you're going to see that this is the item box, basically when you set up, go pick up your items and stuff like that. You're going to see the quest settings, the base settings, the shortcuts 1 through 4 options, which of course can be customized, I believe up until number 25. I believe that's the max number, or 20. I forget whichever one it is. And on the middle side of the scene, you see the radio menu, and then you see the loadout options 1 through 4, which is the little tabs that you can cycle across to be able to like have your radio menu showing up different options that you have set up originally. Now, if you look at this image directly, we're going to cover the stuff about the hunter and the box and why does it look so high resolution. We're going to go over that at the back end of the video. But if you're just looking at the stuff that they're talking about, you're probably not going to notice a lot of differences when it comes to the current game. Now on the screen, you should be able to see right now a screenshot that I took off my game right now on the Nintendo Switch. And you're going to notice that it pretty much looks the same. There's no real changes. This is the item box, radio menu options, I believe is what it's actually called. And you're going to notice that it looks pretty much the same. Obviously, I have slice, pots, reaction, spread, and a couple of sharp null options on the bottom. Those are my custom loadouts. They don't really make any difference. But you're going to notice that the options are the same. Nothing really changed. The real difference here is that if you look under the default menu loadouts, you're going to notice that E loadout number 1 is now like equipped. The big green E means that it's actually currently equipped. That is an option that is not available in the game right now. When you look on the right side of the screen, you see my contrasting image. You see that there's no E there. There's no way to equip that. What does that actually mean for you specifically? Well, if you look at the left side of the screen under shortcuts, those are the radio menus you can actually customize by yourself. So you go through those options, you go through like all your little cycling options, you make your perfect loadout that you like, and then you make several pages of that. Because remember, you can have up to loadout 1, 2, 3, and 4. You make your pages, you set up your loadout, and then whenever you equip a specific page, presumably in Monster Hunter Rise, you're going to have this option now. Whenever you choose one of those, you can equip that. So every single time you start on a quest or even do it in the village, you're going to be able to have the option to have one of those preset pages loaded up every single time. As of right now, the game only lets you set up from left, up, right to bottom. So every single time you start a quest, your loadout is always going to be showing you the leftmost like shortcut. Essentially, whatever page radio menu you have set up is always going to be shown on the left side first, and then up, right, and down. So you have to toggle essentially through like cycling options to be able to like pick up your loadout. Now you're going to have the option to just equip one ahead of time. It doesn't really matter. And it's going to be like shown up first. So for me specifically, like I have a couple of ones, reactions, spread, pots. Usually my pots are on the right side or top, and then reaction is on the right, spread it's on the bottom. I always have to like cycle through to be able to get to the spread shots or the slice, because depending on like the bow gun that I'm using, that's no longer the case. You can just preset one ahead of time based on like your loadout, and then you'll be ready to go. So that's basically what they're saying. A lot of people, I did notice this on social media, requesting that you should be able to have an option whenever you choose a loadout specifically from your armor set. You should be able to have a loadout set up specifically tied to the armor set, because essentially especially if you're like a gunner, for example, you're going to want to have a radio menu that's tied specifically to ammo for that specific bow gun. So if you could tie up your bow gun to your loadout, meaning your radio menu, you should automatically have that set up. I think they're not choosing to do that just yet. They haven't shown us that they will. Most likely they won't, but that is something that I have seen a lot of people request for Capcom to go ahead and do. I think that would be the better option, but I think that's more specific, and I think is mostly tied to gunners, which realistically speaking, there is a little bit of a give and forth when it comes to the radio menu. I've seen a lot of people say that they didn't like it in World. They're not a big fan of it. And when I've seen a lot of gameplay clips from people playing Monster Hunter Rise, they still use the old school menu, like the tiles aspect of one, or whatever it's called. Like when you go page 1 through the top to bottom, and you're not really going through a radio menu, you're just going through like the options up, down, that kind of thing. I've seen a lot of people just still use that one because they're just so used to it. So it's just reactionary, they're just accustomed to it, and the radio menu is just kind of used for potions. Whereas for me, I use it for everything, because I'm just like, I got accustomed to using it in World, and now it's just like second nature, where I do use the like up, down, run like occasionally, but like not that much. So it's secondary, if anything. So I definitely see this when it comes to bow gunners and bowmen, if you will, get a big benefit out of the radio menu, but other people don't necessarily use it as much. So it is one of those things that this is going to be a good feature for us, but for everyone else, is most likely not something that you're going to notice. And again, the fact that I had to put contrasting images of like what really changed and having to go explain it, like most people are really not going to be paying attention to that. But it is going to be beneficial to preparation, which a lot of people have a bunch of pages when it comes to the shortcuts of different radio menu options, especially when it comes to like comments and like emotes and stuff like that. You're going to be able to have all of those now pre-equipped and ready to go whenever you go out on the hunt. But that's about all the information that I have for you guys today. Thankfully, this update was interesting. I do want to quickly touch upon the fact that the higher resolution hunter does stand out to me. There's the texture work when it comes to the flooring, the actual item box, the mountains on the backside, not really all that interesting to me. The like head banner you see on the upper left right there to the item box, and the hunter itself does seem to have like higher texture detail than what's actually available in game right now. This image is extremely sharp. That is not how the Nintendo Switch version typically looks. It is not as sharp. Even in town where you're not really having frame rate issues or anything along those lines, the game does not look that sharp at all. So presumably this is the Nintendo Switch build running on a developer kit, obviously, but it's not running at a native resolution where you're going to see it on the Nintendo Switch. This is most likely 1080p resolution, where on Switch it varies from 720 to 900p, even docked. This is probably just developer build with higher resolution textures, which again on Switch you're not typically going to see. We've seen this now on the PC, higher textures showing up on PC. That is not a problem, but this image to me looks way higher definition than you actually get to see on the Nintendo Switch. I'm not going to presume this is a Nintendo Switch Pro or a Nintendo Switch 2. I'm going to leave that for the speculative side of the Nintendo fandom to go over. But I did find it amusing that this is a much higher quality image than we usually get. But that's about all the information I have for you guys today. If you are brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up. And as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.